What? What is going? What? The Rays are here to stay. I'll be back. Oh my. Put my headphones on for this one. The Tampa Bay Rays are what? All right, yo. Tampa Bay Rays are here to stay. That's how we doing this today. We're gonna watch a quick video. Why Tropicana Field is always empty. You know, we're going to try to be positive about it, but I really want to hear this. Is this gentleman over at Mapify? He's going to let us know a couple theories, a couple things, a couple reality things, some stats, some stuff like that of why Tropicana Field is always empty. The reason I went to this video because I want to know if getting a new stadium, staying in St. Pete, is a good thing. I feel like sometimes St. Pete is holding us hostage, but you know what? If this works out for us, it works out. I just want us to win, keep winning, some fans, some experiences. I want some networking. I want some things going on. So, Lo, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at this video. Let's see what he has to say. Hey, go get that man a like. Mapify. Go get that man a like over there, all right?
The Tampa Bay Rays have a massive issue with their stadium, and it's no secret. Even casual baseball fans can see why. Simply put, Tropicana Field is an ugly, outdated ballpark, and it's one of the reasons why the Rays perform so poorly in attendance numbers year after year. But the stadium itself isn't the main reason why it's nearly impossible for the Rays to bring in a sellout crowd. No, it's not due to the fact that the Trop has a dome or because the Rays have never won a World Series. Those factors don't excuse the horrible fan turnout every game.
It doesn't.
It's because of St. Petersburg, and arguably Tampa Bay as a region. The Rays as a franchise were doomed from the beginning in 1998, and today, their future hedges on a giant gamble.
If that's the reason, if you really think that reason, Mr. Mapify, we probably shouldn't be staying in St. Pete, but I'll let you keep going with your, your thing, because you always have some good knowledge.
On downtown St. Pete. No matter how well the team performs or whatever the design for their next stadium may be, the location of Tropicana Field will continue to hold the franchise back, and possibly one day push them out of Tampa Bay. Let's dive into that. And while you're here, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. First things first though, let's set the stage as to how the Rays got into this everlasting mess.
He just said everlasting
Believe it or not,
mess.
construction for Tropicana Field began over a decade prior to the Rays' first season. In fact, one of the key reasons why St. Petersburg decided to build the arena was all because of envy towards Tampa, the region's biggest city. Tampa had been home to the Buccaneers ever since the 1970s, so St. Petersburg, also wanting in on the sports scene, built what was first known as the Florida Suncoast Dome, with the hope that it could attract an MLB team.
Did not know that.
From the get-go, its construction was controversial after it displaced residents in the gas plant district, a primarily African-American community that played a significant role in building the railway that connected St. Petersburg to the rest of Florida.
Didn't know that.
The once historically significant neighborhood quickly became gentrified through sport. After its opening in 1990, the stadium was used periodically for tennis, concerts, arena football, and hockey, but not for baseball, which was the sole objective of St. Pete's shiny new dome. The region missed out on the 1993 expansion to Denver and Miami, and nearly lured Seattle and San Francisco to the East Coast.
So I did not know that. Thank you for that info. We could have had the Mariners here.
Finally, in the mid-90s, Tampa Bay got their ball club, and by 1998, the team's first ever pitch was thrown in front of an energetic, baseball-thirsty crowd at the newly named Tropicana Field.
And the first pitch in Double Ray history, that will go directly to the Hall of Fame.
That excitement didn't last long, though. Initially known as the Devil Rays, the team followed up their first season with an improved record, but with an average attendance significantly lower than the prior campaign, all while losing a ton of money. Something wasn't right. For all the anticipation of an MLB team in Tampa Bay, where are all the fans? This worrying trend would continue to this very day. The team, now known as the Rays, consistently finishing the regular season in the bottom 5 of the league in attendance. And the 2 years they made it out of the bottom 5, they couldn't even wiggle themselves into the top half of the league. So what gives? We can place the blame on Tampa Bay's geography and urban planning. Well, some of it. The Tampa Bay area is sparse. It consists of 3 major cities: St. Petersburg, Clearwater, and Tampa. You might as well include Bradenton, Sarasota, and Lakeland while you're at it. This entire region houses over 3 million residents, and they're all seen as marketable to the Rays organization. There's a giant elephant in the room though, and by elephant, I mean body of water.
I had a feeling that, we always say that. Everybody that talks about it, whether we talk about it at the bar or anything, one of the biggest things we talk about is the location. I mean, you got to drive across those bridges. For me, it's not that big of a problem, but I have a solution. If the MLB wants to hear it, but let's see what my man got to say.
Tampa Bay itself. Tampa Bay is great for beaches, fishing, and taking your boat out for the Gasparilla Festival. It's the core reason why this region has such a significant population while not being excessively centralized, like New York City, San Fran, or Boston. Navigating through this sprawl is time-consuming though, and when everyone's driving towards the same location, all while bottlenecking on one of the few bridges in between the cities, it takes even longer to get around. St. Petersburg, where Tropicana Field is located, isn't even the hub of the area. That title belongs to Tampa. It's also on its own little peninsula, so unless you're from Pinellas County, you're taking a bridge to get to a Rays game. Now combine that with a non-existent transit hub in and around the region, you're left with a lot of cars from more populated areas funneling into a less...
Real quick, transit hub. We need something other than a ferry taking it. If we had a transit hub, that'll solve a lot of our problems. But I still have another solution.
Developed neighborhood by means of just a few bridges. You might be asking, what's a little bit of driving for a baseball game? It doesn't seem too desirable if you're driving through Tampa at 5:30 p.m. on a weeknight. The Rays attendance numbers show that. And if you're from Lakeland or even Orlando, good luck. Over 600,000 people can currently reach Tropicana Field in 30 minutes. But if it were located across the bay in Tampa, that number increases to over 1 million residents. That's a 66% increase that just can't be ignored. St. Petersburg is simply too much of an inconvenience when there's a solution sitting right across the bay. However, it can't all be about the lay of the land. We talked about outside the stadium, now let's talk about the stadium itself, Tropicana Field. Year after year, the Trop is consistently ranked the worst stadium in baseball. Location is one thing, but what's the one feature that differentiates it from other ballparks? The roof. Other teams like the Jays, Astros, even the Marlins have roofs of their own.
Yeah, but we don't have to worry about lightning. We don't have to worry about storms or anything like that. So I get it, but hindsight, we know we got a new stadium coming and it's here to stay, but we know we have a retractable roof now and roll up windows, which is pretty cool. But is that going to help us out? The video is why Tropical Field is always empty. So are you telling me that even if we do that, it's not going to help?
But they're retractable. Tropicana Field, on the other hand, is completely closed off without open air or sunlight peeking through. That intimate baseball experience just doesn't hit the same without fresh air or the night sky. Look at what happened to the Minnesota Twins. When the team moved from the closed-off Metrodome to the open-air Target Field, the Twins saw a 35% increase in attendance. That's nearly 11,000 more fans per game. A needed yet temporary boost, all thanks to the new ballpark. Fans go to games for not only baseball but for the experience beyond the event. And Tropicana Field, with its low-hanging roof, just doesn't cut it. And let's not forget, the bullpens are located in foul territory, making it an obstacle to field foul balls. The players don't like that. The only other stadium...
First of all, I like that. I get what he said, the players don't like that, but when we're talking about the fans, I love being able to see the visitors or the home team's bullpen getting ready to go in. I love seeing them sit on the side when I look at Diekman and all those guys sitting on the side getting ready to go in. Like, that's an amazing experience to me. And when I talk to other fans from other teams, they get to go in there and they see their players like right there, their bullpen is right there. They love it. So I'm not going to use that one as an excuse. You got the X, that one's out.
Stadium to have this outdated design is Oakland's Coliseum, and that's another ballpark that shouldn't have much to brag about. I explain why in my other video, so be sure to check it out. So what are the owners and politicians doing to solve this glaring problem for the Rays? Since the beginning of the 2023 season, the Rays have implemented checkout-free concessions, some unique stadium eats, and a new video board.
They have chicken salad chick too. Love it.
It's been received fairly well by the fan base, but it wasn't enough to move the needle, especially with how well the team has been performing in recent seasons. More importantly, what about addressing the issue with its location? For a while now, Rays owner Stuart Sternberg has looked into moving the team to almost anywhere imaginable. Whether it's St. Petersburg's waterfront, Ybor City in the heart of Tampa, or even Montreal,
Montreal.
any attempt for an improved location fell through due to either financing issues or small town politics. In reality, it's St. Petersburg that's dragging their feet on any potential move, since the city is keen on holding on to the Rays and adamant the team serve their lease with the Trop until 2027.
Shit, money.
In fact, not long ago, an
money.
18-month case study was performed by community leaders from Pinellas County and Tampa to assess suitable locations and costs for a new stadium, which was then presented to politicians in St. Petersburg. The task force concluded that the Trop was poorly designed, not generating enough revenue, and needs to be closer to the region's key demographic and business centers. In response, St. Pete's politicians said they didn't want to hear it and proceeded to cut ties with the coalition. Public officials are sticking their heads in the sand and keeping the Rays hostage for as long as they can. But as it turns out, the Rays may be fine with settling in their current neighborhood. The MLB isn't eager to move the team anytime soon, unlike how they treated the Athletics. And in terms of financing, the Rays would have to pay up more of their own money to cover the cost of a new stadium elsewhere than if they just stayed on the outskirts of downtown St. Petersburg, which is going through its own revitalization project. Through the eyes of the Rays organization, staying put is looking like another gamble, but it's an affordable one.
Now that makes sense. A big reason why they stay, while they're here to stay, while they're in St. Pete. So that was a good thing. I'm glad he at least said that reason.
It does beg the question though. No matter where in Tampa Bay the Rays end up, no matter how many times they win the AL East, and no matter how alluring a new stadium may be, will these problems all of a sudden just go away?
That's my question.
Maybe, just maybe, Tampa Bay and a rundown ballpark isn't the root of the issue. Maybe it's Florida. Let's unpack.
Ooh. I guarantee it has to do with the expansion of fan base, but the MLB pretty much took care of that, and I explain what I mean by that.
This. When you look at the Marlins down in Miami with their 2 World Series titles and state-of-the-art ballpark in a centralized location, their attendance numbers are just as abysmal as the Rays. To be fair, the Marlins haven't put together a strong team since their World Series win in 2003, but even then, they ranked 28th in attendance during the regular season. The Marlins are also one of 2 teams in MLB history to have never won their division. This puts a little perspective on the organization's inability to attract fans through team building. Yet the team introduced Marlins fans to a brand new ballpark after leaving Sun Life Stadium in 2012 for what's now known as Lone Depot Park. And while there was a sudden uptick of interest during the stadium's first year following construction, the team's attendance numbers plummeted back to where they were just before the move. Over the course of the next decade, the Marlins and Rays would sit comfortably in the bottom 5 of the league in average attendance. And unsurprisingly, both organizations are currently ranked near the bottom of the league in terms of value, according to Forbes in 2023. So what's going on in Florida? First of all, the heat and humidity is unbearable in the summer, which is when the majority of baseball season is played. But that excuse doesn't carry much weight when both teams play underneath a roof, along with the fact that other clubs in the Sunbelt states aren't suffering from the lack of fans.
There you go.
Florida, however, is far more transient than these other states. People come far and wide from up north to chase that beach-based lifestyle, but while maintaining their allegiances to the teams they grew up supporting. A Yankees fan won't bother switching ball caps for the Rays or Marlins. There's just not enough pull from these organizations. This lack of loyalty from the non-locals is demonstrated when you notice how impressive some spring training complexes are. The Yankees' Steinbrenner Field, Toronto's TD Ballpark, even the Orioles' Ed Smith Stadium are all meant to target the snowbirds who stay in Florida for the winter or those who moved indefinitely. These teams planted their stake in their own corner of Florida for a month of baseball, while the Marlins and Rays struggled to build their own brand.
Amen.
That's not to say Marlins and Rays fans don't exist. They do. They're just not enticed enough to commute to games and would rather tune in on the radio or their local sports network. But as far as Manfred and the MLB...
I'm sorry that our radio personalities are great. I love you guys.
...are concerned, if there aren't bums in seats and the team isn't making enough money, they'll ditch an area for something new. Sorry, A's fans. Luckily for Rays faithful, the league wants a team in Tampa Bay, so the organization should be staying by the Bay for the foreseeable future on the basis that Sternberg doesn't flirt with leaving and that there's a suitable replacement lined up for Tropicana Field. Numerous stadium mock-ups have been made since 2007, and they all look like a major step up from the Trop. But will it be pushed over the line? We'll have to wait and see, and the Rays have until 2027 to follow through. Until then, the team will continue to find new ways to attract their fan base. It might require investing in St. Pete or blocking off bleachers to create an intimate experience for fans. But with the region's inconvenient urban planning, that potential to attract will inevitably hit a ceiling. No pun intended. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and don't forget to subscribe.
All right, that was pretty cool. Like I like the things he had to say about that in this video. Like he did pretty good. So one of the biggest things, my biggest takeaways is geography. Florida itself. I have a big solution. MLB. You already took care of one of the solutions. One of the solutions was you tried to get teams that we normally don't play. Like when we have those games. Like I went to some Cardinals, some Rockies games. Like teams that we, you know, there's a lot of fans I met that were like they're so happy that we played their teams this year, and I think that was a big step toward getting people in the seats. My other thing is early location, early games. Like if you can get games, a lot more games at noon or 1 o'clock, I think that'll be a big deal. If you're talking about traffic, trying to deal with that bottleneck, then that's gonna be one of the biggest deals, because the games I went to, like the early Tuesday games, the early Wednesday games, the Saturday and Sunday games, those games were packed. Those are like a lot of people were at those games. And another thing too, the scalpers, like a lot of times I'll be at the game and I'll see seats that are empty, and I know those seats weren't available because I will look for those seats. And that's because somebody went and bought all the seats up, and now they're trying to sell the seats and nobody wants to buy them from people. Thank God the MLB have it where you can verify through the MLB. That was a big help. But MLB, get us some more early games, and I guarantee that would help at least us out. And then thank you already for having it to where we're playing against these different teams in different regions we normally don't play, because I had an amazing time this year watching games that I haven't, teams that I've never seen play before, except for obviously on TV. But I took people to games and they loved it because they got to see their teams play that their parents grew up watching. So look, go give a shout out to Mapify. Go give them a subscribe and a like. Hey yo, Free Frame Bias, come give me a subscribe and a like. And stay tuned. I have a lot more videos coming up, definitely about the Rays and sports and things like that. And drop a comment down below and see what you think about. Will the new stadium continue to be empty when it's built? Rays, love you. Tampa Bay, love you. YouTube, love you. Love all you guys. Be good.